morning, everybody. Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. It is a chilly, brisk morning here. It's about 40 degrees right now in southwestern Connecticut. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. Sun is just starting to come up over the wood yard. I got some equipment warming up, the International and the Baumalight mini skid steer. We have 2 deliveries this morning. Each is 1 tote, machine delivery with the Baumalight. So we're gonna load up a tote and the machine on the back of the flatbed and get this wood delivered. Okay guys, we just got back from the second delivery and Chris met me here in the wood yard. And you have been working on something this morning without me while I was on the deliveries. You want to show the people what you were working on?
We did a little bit of a divide and conquer thing. Jake was out doing deliveries and I was here working on the Eastonmade
MS-324.
Yeah, there we go, that's the number.
Mini skid steer splitter. Yeah.
And we're not going to use it on the mini skid steer. We're not on the Baumalight. What we are going to use it on is our mini excavator.
We got it, guys, hooked up to the Kubota U35-4, as you can see here. And none of this would be possible without the addition of the Baumalight Dipper Buddy. Now, what this thing is essentially a conversion adapter plate that can go from whatever type of excavator you may have. You know, in this case, it's the Kubota quick attach, pin-on style coupler, as you can see here. And on the bottom end, we got it as a mini skid steer quick attach. So it adapts it so that we can use this MS-324 on the excavator. Now you might be saying, Jake, why do you need it on the excavator? You already had it on the mini skid steer, seemed to work pretty good. Should just leave well enough alone. Well, the issue that I found with the mini skid steer is that it doesn't really have any reach. So when we're cutting up all these big rounds that we would use this thing on, it's great if you could drive right up to them, but we put them in a big pile, and the mini skid steer just doesn't have any reach, and it kicks up. You could see like how it just from turning around here, it ruffles up the asphalt milling. So with the excavator, we can more or less stay in one spot and have, it's got like a 16-foot reach on it. So essentially we could do a 30-foot diameter, around the machine without really having to move at all. Not to mention, you're not bouncing around standing on the back of the mini skid steer. You're sitting in a nice climate-controlled cab with the radio and stuff like that. So
all the creature comforts.
Exactly, all the creature comforts. And the excavator, I just think is better suited for this. You guys have probably seen Mike Morgan with his excavator mini splitter on his channel, Outdoors with the Morgans. And when we got the opportunity to meet him a couple weeks ago, before Paul Bunyan, I had a bunch of questions. I was kind of picking his brain on his excavator and how he uses it for his firewood operation, and he said he absolutely loves that split fire excavator splitter. His splitter is just for the excavator, so he can't put it on his Vermeer mini skid steer, he can't put it, you know, on his tractor, whatever. But with the addition of this Baumalight dipper buddy, depending on how you orchestrate it, you could get it for, you know, to convert from mini skid steer to standard skid steer quick attach, mini skid steer to excavator, you know, whatever configuration you need to do. If you have multiple types of pieces of equipment, this allows you to just buy one attachment and use it on several pieces of equipment. So I am super excited. We had to do a little modification as far as the hoses and stuff go, which I'll show you right now. So here's another look at this Baumalight dipper buddy. You can see the MS-324, which you guys have seen on the channel before. It goes right into the mini skid steer quick attach plate there. And then as far as the hose extensions, we just had to get these puppies made up to reach the diverter valves, you know, for the auxiliary hydraulics on the excavator. Clearly we have tried it out a little bit already, and I think it works really good. What do you think?
I think it works great too. It'll be cool to be able to split these large rounds and just load them right into a dumpster can if needed as well, because you can split over the edge, you can reach up and over, reach out.
Right.
This unlocks a whole new potential for this mini skid steer splitter.
That's absolutely right. And you guys might have heard me in the past couple videos complaining about this big pile of gnarly rounds behind me. And I've kind of been waiting, a little foreshadowing for this video here today, because I told my buddy that I got this splitter, we were going to be hooking it up to the mini excavator, and I wanted the opportunity to show you guys how well it works in breaking down those big gnarly pieces that otherwise we would just, you know, get rid of. Now I can split them up and make them a little more manageable for my buddy with the wood boiler. That's what we're going to be doing here today. Okay guys, this is what we are left with after about 20 minutes of working with this new Dipper Buddy from Baumalight and the Eastonmade MS-324 mini splitter. I'm not going to call it a mini skid steer splitter anymore because, as you can see, it's on an excavator. But that worked really well. What do you think? I mean, I was operating it and it's much easier with the excavator than it is on the mini skid steer.
Yeah, just for the little bit of time that I played with it before we broke out the cameras, there's a whole lot more visibility out of the mini excavator cab with this mini splitter versus on the front end of a mini skid steer. You can really adjust and angle that blade to where you need it, and you know exactly where it's going as opposed to at the stub nose of the mini skid steer. It seems to be really just powering through all this stuff. Granted, this is a little bit more straight grain stuff than we typically give away, but just the sheer size of it made us want to get rid of it.
Yeah, guys, so some of this stuff you might be saying, well, why are you getting rid of that? A lot of these pieces were offcuts, like off the ends of really big logs, so they're not even quite 16 inch. I mean, some of them, like this stuff, yeah, we probably could get away with it, but it was just so big that it wasn't really desirable to then run through the Eastonmade. And now you might be saying, well, now it's smaller, you could. But you know what, honestly, we have a whole nice log pile here of nice logs. These logs have a lot of crotches in them. This was kind of stuff that we were just cutting out and cutting around to get to the good stuff. So for me to give this away to my buddy, I have no problem doing that. I think what Chris said, in that it's a lot more maneuverable, he's absolutely right, because obviously you have this long stick and there's a lot more room for adjustment between the curl of the machine itself, you know, the dipper, and then your main, you know, boom, not to mention the whole swing, you know, rotate of the machine. You have a lot more maneuverability with this thing. And again, this is the Baumalight Dipper Buddy. This specific one is the XQS2M. Do not ask me what that means because I have no idea. But, you know, it's allowing us to do this. And at, you know, if you already own one of these things or a splitter for, say, a skid steer, or say, you know, you have a splitter for an excavator and you want to put it on a different piece of equipment. There's all different configurations and mounting plates that this Dipper Buddy offers. There will be a link down in the description, but so far I am very pleased with the way that this is working. And I also wanted to point out that Andrew sent me a new splitting wedge for this machine. Now, I'm not going to show it up close because you're not going to be able to see the difference, but basically the angle of the wedge down in there, this new wedge is a little bit thinner, if you could imagine that, so that it kind of punctures into the wood a little bit more. It's not as wide of a V, it's a more narrow V, you know, it's not like that, it's more like this, so that it goes into the wood a little bit further and gives you all the more splitting force. So, I mean, we basically got the dumpster can halfway full right now with big chunks and stuff. Now, some of these big chunks I already split 2 or 3 times. They just didn't fully break. So my buddy can mess around with that. But I mean, this is working really good, and we're finally able to get rid of this big pile of undesirable rounds.
Chocks that I put down underneath it, that extra 6-8 inches makes all the difference. This is heavy stuff, all oak, beech, you know, you saw what was going in there. So that's good. Go dump it and come back for the second load.
All right, guys, I think that is about going to wrap it up here. As you can see, we got through all of the big, nasty, gnarly pile that was here. Chris was able to empty the IBC tote that was more than overflowing, and he's even fired up the 2228 and started making good firewood. This MS-324 with the Baumalight Dipper Buddy attachment adapter here is a true game changer. And I haven't used that phrase in a while, but I really think that this is the ticket. If you have a mini excavator and you're considering getting a splitter for it, this is the splitter I would get. and that's the adapter I would get if you have multiple pieces of machinery that you might want to put it on. As you can see up here, we were able to split up another half load in about 20 minutes or so. Now, there were some pieces that the splitter just simply wasn't able to split. All of those pieces that it wasn't able to split were beech, which is really hard stuff, and it was like crotches in the beech. So that's pretty understandable, that's to be expected. This splitter, I think, rates in somewhere around like 17 ton. I believe Andrew said that he was thinking about coming out with a slightly larger cylinder for him to give it a little more pushing power to put it up around that 20 to 22 ton range, which I think would be nice. By adding a bigger cylinder, you don't necessarily need more flow or anything on your machine. The bigger cylinder kind of compensates and gives it that extra grunt to get through those nasty, gnarly pieces. So I really think this Baumalight Dipper Buddy is nice if you have several pieces of equipment and you want to maybe interchange, you know, your attachments. So you don't have to buy the same attachment twice. You know, it's good for that. You know, now I have the ability to put the pallet forks on the excavator. I could put the Baumalight mini skid steer, you know, grading bucket on the excavator. It would be backwards, but that could be useful in some scenarios if I have to dig up against a wall or something like that. But I was honestly most excited to put this log splitter on the end because I think it's just far superior to having the log splitter on the mini skid steer, because you have all that extra reach, you have a lot more visibility, you have a lot of room for maneuvering, you know, the wedge to get it exactly where you want it. It's definitely going to take some getting used to, but so far so good. I am super happy with how fast we processed up this big pile of, you know, gnarly stuff, and now we can get it on out of here. So Chris is getting to the bottom of this pile here, so that means I got to start cutting. You will probably see that in a future video. But as always, guys, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. Questions, comments, feedback, throw it down in that comment section. Be sure to check out the Baumalight Dipper Buddy and the Eastonmade MS-324 mini splitter. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. See you here next time.